Hi everyone, I'm Lady Teddy. I'm going to be reading to you guys from Magium, which is a text-based choose-your-own-adventure story app that is free and it's on both Android and iOS, and I highly recommend it. It's really good. There's a lot of different stories that are a lot of different paths that you can take. Currently, we are achievement hunting. Book 2, Chapter 4, because in order to unlock the third book, we need, I think, 25 achievements unlocked, and I think we only need 1 or 2 more. Because the story is extremely complicated, I do have a guide up to make sure I know which ones are even possible, which I don't actually know if there's any more that we can get in this chapter, so we might just be reading through the chapter at this point. Actually, maybe I should have looked into that a little bit more, but too late now. So if anyone has any questions about what's going on, feel free to ask. I know that we are in the middle of the story. The way it works is once we get to a decision, if it's just conversational or directional, I will let you guys decide. I know a lot of people like to sleep or relax, and that is totally okay. What I do is I read out what the options are, and I give y'all about a minute. If anyone is wanting to weigh in, I will go with whatever the majority of the chat says. If no one wants to participate, that's totally fine. I will make a decision for us. Yeah, so... Oh, I forgot to turn off all of the sound alerts and stuff. Hang on. I knew that I was forgetting something. I do have all sound alerts and everything turned off since this is supposed to be... Or I will in a second, since this is supposed to be relaxing. Hang on. Sorry. That's muted, that's muted. Muted. Cool. And I need to turn off Lumia. Okay, so I would not recommend anyone redeem any sound alert stuff because those are all muted currently. There. What is going on right now is the main party is in a life and death arena, gladiator style arena, because they were accused of a crime, and the way that they are being allowed to be pardoned for their crime is if they survive this arena. What just happened was the main character, Barry, he made a deal with these evil people where they were like, if you do a task for us, then we will have someone join your party to make it easier and take care of everything. And so then that dude joined at the last moment and killed all of the monsters. And now they are moving on to the next phase of the arena, which is where they are going to fight against a giant troll that they've met previously, who is the troll captain, and he has really high regeneration. Yeah, what are the achievements that we can try and go for? So we need 2 more, so 25 to unlock the next one. Looks like we won't be getting any from there. I don't think we're able to get this one, or this one, and we already have this one. So currently we're just trying to read through to get to the next one. Are there any decisions that are... You know what? Currently we're just trying to read through, so if anyone wants to help make decisions going through this, doesn't really matter at this point. Make this smaller so I can see. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer says in an attempt to silence the crowd that will not stop booing, I assure you that I am just as perplexed by this turn of events as the rest of you. Okay. If there's anyone in the crowd if there's anyone epileptic in the crowd right now, close your eyes in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Y'all are being flashed. There. There you go, Deadly Pizza. I assure you that I am just as perplexed by this turn of events as the rest of you. I fully realize what this looks like, but we cannot confirm that our rules have been broken until we conduct a thorough investigation in order to understand why our magical detectors were not set off. Until then, this mysterious participant will remain in our custody. Thank you for your understanding. Well, Bruce says, I guess the first round's over, then let's go back. As we all head back, we run into the owner of the arena, who is waiting for us at the entrance to our division's area. Should be out of pocket. Well, welcome back, Deadly Pizza. How are you doing today? May I have an explanation for all of this, the owner says, looking straight at the Lysathi. Who told you that you could just come in here and interfere with this arena event? You know very well who did, the Lysathi says, and you'd do well to step aside and let me pass if you know what's good for you. How did you manage to fool the magic detectors? The owner says. Did you forget who provided you with those magical detectors in the first place? The Lysathi says. I only had to make a few small tweaks prior to the event in order to get those devices to ignore electricity. No worries, Deadly Pizza. It's good to see you. Welcome back. You are not to interfere with this event any longer. Do you understand? The owner says furiously. I want you out of here right this instant. Are you sure? The Lysathi asks him in a menacing tone. Get out, the owner tells him. Very well, the Lysathi says. Then you will not be seeing me again. You should, however, expect to see some of my associates in the next few days. And when you do, you should be ready to face the consequences for your actions today. The Lysathi leaves without another word, and the arena owner goes back to his room shortly afterwards. The 6 of us then re-enter our division area, and the iron gate closes itself behind us. After taking a good look throughout the room, it would seem that Wilhelm is nowhere to be found. Where do you suppose Wilbert went? Bruce says. Nobody cares, the ex-noble thug says. There's plenty of time until the next round. He'll probably come back until then. The announcer says all of a sudden. It appears that we need to take a small break in order to do a little inventory for remaining creatures. Please remain patient. This shouldn't take long. Ha, Bruce says. They're already running out of creatures? I bet they weren't expecting so many of them to be taken out in the first rounds. Was that all? I was hoping to see a more impressive collection of creatures. I don't think they're done. I haven't seen any griffins yet. Or maybe they're only done with a small fry and the show is just beginning. If there's anyone that would like to weigh in, now is your chance. Otherwise, I will make a decision for us in about a minute. tricky, we are continuing from the last chapter. But we're still achievement hunting. Right now we're just trying to get achievements, but I don't think we're able to get any more in this specific chapter. So right now we're just trying to get through. I actually don't know if we're going to be able to get more anytime soon, it looks like. So we shall see. Alright, then I'm going to go with the first one. Is that all? I say. I was hoping to see a more impressive collection of creatures. I'm a bit disappointed, to be honest. Well, to be fair, Bruce says, it's not that easy to capture these kinds of creatures without killing them. The owner probably had to pay some good money to get his hands on these monsters, and a bunch of them most likely died in the cellars before he got to use them. He's been keeping them for years, after all. Hearing check successful, level 2. As we wait for the announcer to resume the event, I start hearing some voices coming from further down the hallway outside. The two people talking appear to be Wilhelm and the ambassador of Allendor. I paid you to get the job done and not to hear your excuses, the ambassador shouts. You didn't pay me anything, Wilhelm says. You just promised me that you'd get me out of this place and that you'd make sure I don't get executed for killing a teammate, as long as I kept my end of the bargain. Well, I'm here to tell you that the deal's off. I'm not doing it anymore. It's too risky. I already tried to assassinate him once and I failed. He'll be expecting it now. There's no point in trying to assassinate a target that's already onto you. If you can't backstab him anymore, then just attack him directly, you moron, the ambassador says. I don't care how you get the job done, I just want him dead. I'm not doing any job anymore, Wilhelm says. Stop bothering me. I've already said what I had to say. Soon after their conversation ends, the announcer picks his voice magnifier back up and he gets ready to make another announcement. Sorry for the delay, everyone, the announcer says. After checking to see which creatures we have left, it is my sad duty to inform you that our special stocks of creatures have been depleted and that we will have to go back to our regular stock from this fight onwards. I hope that this will not affect your enjoyment of the show too much. Now, with all this said and done, I would like to introduce you the 5th Division. Back to the regular stock, huh? I guess that those griffins and gargoyles we killed in the underground caverns 2 days ago must have been their last reserves then. It's a good thing that we decided to deal with them ahead of time, or that crazy arena owner may well have thrown those against us too. The next iron gate gets raised. When the next iron gate gets raised, Kate is the first one to step out into the fighting arena. As she proceeds to the middle of the arena, the other members of her division also start to follow in her footsteps. Once I get a good look at all of Kate's teammates, I get the sudden realization that Kate is likely the most capable fighter in her division, even without her magic. Most of the others look severely out of shape, and some of them don't even have weapons. These clearly aren't the type of gladiators that came here willingly. As the unarmed fighters go to get their weapons of choice from the walls of the arena, the new creatures are slowly beginning to walk out of their den. The first ones to come out are a pair of cave lions, which are basically larger versions of regular lions, but without the mane. Next, we see a few black wolves join the stage, which look similar to the ones we fought in the Ogre Shaman's illusion, except they're only about twice the size of regular wolves. As these creatures begin to slowly advance towards the middle of the arena, a few A few more black wolves and cave lions are making their appearance from behind the big iron gate. So this is what they call their regular stock. It's definitely a step down from the creatures we've been shown so far, but something tells me that the organizers wouldn't have been permitted to release so many of them at the same time if this were one of their regular shows. If Kate had a decent team backing her up, then I wouldn't be worried, but as it stands, she may well be forced to fight all of these creatures alone. The first group of lions and wolves decides to take the initiative, and they begin to run together towards the gladiators. When Kate's teammates see the beasts charge towards them, some of them start screaming and running away as fast as they can, while others charge right back at the creatures in a desperate attempt to intimidate them. Kate is the only one who seems calm and collected, as her instincts take over again, just like in the ogre shaman's illusion, and she begins to move between one creature and another, slitting one's throat and then switching to the next target without any wasted movements. As the other beasts see the first group getting decimated, they decide that they should ignore the other gladiators for now and focus all of their efforts on neutralizing Kate. They rush to the aid of their companions, and they quickly move to surround her while she is busy fighting one of the wolves. Seeing that her escape route has been blocked, Kate tries to make her own way out by going to attack one of the creatures in front of her. However, before she reaches her foe, one of the wolves behind her makes a dash for her and bites her left leg. Kate sticks her knife through the wolf's head, but she lets her guard down, and one of the other wolves seizes the opportunity to pounce on her and pin her to the ground. She decides to stab the creature with her dagger, but the wolf uses its fangs to yank the weapon from behind her hand. But the wolf uses its fangs to yank the weapon from her hand and to throw it away out of her reach. Just when it was beginning to look as if all hope was lost, I see a knife made of ice slowly starting to come out of Kate's right palm, with its tip aimed forward. As soon as the knife gets fully created, Kate grabs it in her hand and she uses it to stab the wolf through the side of its head, killing it immediately and freeing herself from its clutches. The crowd is now watching in complete silence as Kate gets up, and she begins to look for a way out of her predicament. "Nobody panic," the announcer says all of a sudden as he sees the scared reactions of the public. "I assure you that we'll get to the bottom of this as soon as the fight ends." Some of the people seem to be fidgeting nervously, while others are whispering amongst themselves with fear in their eyes. Although it's difficult to hear what exactly they're talking about, there seems to be one word in particular that all of those conversations have in common. It is the word banshee. Kate manages to make her way out of the wolf encirclement, and she tries to retreat in the hopes that some of her teammates will finally grow a backbone and help her flank the enemy that is now focusing on her exclusively. Surprisingly, a few of the other gladiators get the hint, and they approach the creatures from behind while they are distracted, managing to actually kill 4 of them before the wolves and the lions are forced to change their tactics. Now that Kate's teammates have finally joined the battle and the wolves and lions have scattered, it doesn't take the gladiators long until they hunt down their remaining enemies and finish them all off. The announcer says, looking a bit stressed out. "Now that the fight is over, I believe that it is time to address all of your concerns about what happened earlier. Rest assured that the gross violation of our rules that has occurred during this battle has not gone unnoticed. We do not yet know why our magical detectors didn't detect any spells being cast, but after we'll conduct a thorough investigation and solve this mystery, I am almost certain that the banshee will be found guilty and be sentenced to... There will be no need for an investigation," we hear the voice of the arena's owner as he makes his way on top of the elevated platform that the announcer is standing on. "First of all, there's a small correction that I'd like to make to our announcer's previous speech. The woman that you see now is in fact not a banshee, but an actual mage, regardless of how hard that some of you may be finding it to believe. I apologize for not making this clear from the very beginning, but I did not want to create any unnecessary tension if there was a chance that it could have been avoided. The people in the crowd are not looking very convinced, and they are muttering between themselves, but none of them seem to be very keen on accusing the owner of lying. Secondly, the owner says, our rules clearly state that in order for a magic spell to be considered illegal, it needs to set off our magical detectors. Obviously, this is more of a loophole than anything else, and I am not planning on letting this go completely unpunished. However, I believe that ordering her execution in this case would be a bit too harsh, given the nature of her transgression. I will therefore agree only to turn her into an undesirable, as long as she agrees to tell us how she managed to bypass our magic detection system. Very well, Kate says. The reason why your detectors were not set off was because when I began to create my dagger of ice, I made sure to do it without letting any magical energy leave the confines of my aura. Given that your devices do not react to regular magical auras of mages while they are not casting spells, I figured that the magical particles need to actually leave a person's aura in order for them to be detected. So I decided to take the gamble and to handle the creation of my dagger as close to my body as possible in order to try and cheat the system. Very intriguing, the owner says. So your way of avoiding detection, in fact, required the use of a highly inefficient technique and of a ridiculously low amount of magical energy in order to succeed. That means I don't have to worry about anyone abusing this loophole in any serious way anytime soon. All right then. In that case, as promised, you are free to return to your division area. However, it should go without saying that the next time you try to abuse our system like this, the consequences will be much more severe. I understand, Kate says. Then prepare to clear the fighting arena. Then prepare to clear the fighting area, the owner says. The next fight will begin shortly. As the owner turns to leave, Kate and the others also head towards their division area, while the warriors of the 6th Division are preparing to enter the battlefield. The next few battles weren't really anything special. A few gladiators died here and there, but most of them survived, and the number of creatures that were being thrown at them in each fight became gradually smaller, as the arena's stocks of regular creatures began to slowly deplete as well. As I keep watching the fights, I'm starting to get a feeling of relief, because most, if not all, of the warriors that we've seen since Kate's battle are nowhere near strong enough to deal with the monsters such as manticores or desert marauders. This means that defeating them should be a piece of cake. Maybe this arena wasn't so scary after all. Don't get too relaxed, Kate writes as she sees the expression on my face while we watch the final battle of the round. We still have no idea how we're going to defeat the troll, and to be frank, I think he's going to be much more dangerous than the monsters we've fought so far. Yes, but you are forgetting something, I tell Layla. We are the 4th Division. This means that the troll will have to go through Hadrick and Darren before he reaches us. Regeneration or no, I honestly couldn't even imagine Hadrick losing a duel against him after the way he fought in the first round. The way I see it, they may as well be crowning us as victors of this arena right now. They may well be crowning us victors of this arena event right now, because there really isn't much of a point in dragging this on any longer. "Attention all gladiators," the announcer says in a very loud voice all of a sudden. While I was talking with Layla, it seems that the final battle had already ended, and the warriors were now returning to their division area. "There is a slight change in our fight schedule for the second round," the announcer continues. There has been a slight change in our fight schedule for the second round, the announcer continues. "Unlike the first round where the divisions have been fighting in the order of their division numbers, in this second round there will be one exception to the rule. By special request of our esteemed arena owner, Mr. Vernard, the first division to fight Velgos in the second round will be none other than Division Number 4. Gladiators of the 4th Division, please make sure that you are ready. The fight will begin in the next few minutes." "Humans!" we hear the voice of Velgos the Troll shouting from the other end of the arena as soon as the announcer stops talking. "Your time is up. There is nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. All that awaits you is death. Blame your fate for having been unlucky enough to cross paths with Velgos the Mercenary." The crowds are going wild again, just like they did after Hadrick's first fight, and they're chanting the troll's name loudly over and over. "Velgos! Velgos! Velgos!" They all keep chanting as the troll waves to the crowd and makes intimidating gestures towards us every once in a while. "Huh," I tell Layla. "Well, damn." Next chapter. Yay. Well, okay. I'm only able to read for another 20 minutes or so I think I'm probably just gonna end here. Rather than start and... yeah. Okay, so I'm going to... that was not very long at all. That was only like 30 minutes. I thought there was more of the chapter left. Transferred. I mean, there were no achievements. Okay, well, I'm going to end the recording here.